Hey guys, this is a Westclox sleep meter, a clock that we've really fallen in love with lately. It is a beautiful, elegant little clock with lots of history. It's just a great little timepiece. It was made by the company Westclox. Now, Westclox has some interesting history. They started in 1885. They had some bankruptcies and issues like that, so they've changed names a few times, but Westclox actually exists today. You can still buy their products on Amazon and other places. So they've been around since the late 1800s, and they've been in Peru, Illinois the whole time. So still around today, and they have clocks everywhere. They mostly made small bedside type clocks, and they've adopted with the times. They started out with mechanical clocks like this, and today they have digital clocks, just like you'd expect to see. And they have so many different models from over the years, and they're incredibly popular clocks. We found them in antique shops or grandma's house, places like that. You might have heard of the Big Ben or Little Ben model. You might recognize that if you have any experience looking at clocks. But this particular one is called the Style 1. So the Style 1 started production in 1914, and it ran until 1933. Now, this particular clock is a later model of the Style 1. So in 1914, they had a few different options for hangers. They were triangles or trapezoids or squares, I believe. And then later on in production, they changed to just the round hook. So that tells us it was closer to 1932, or 1933, I'm sorry. So possibly late 20s to early 30s is most likely when this one was built. So that's a little bit of history about it. Let's talk about how to operate this. It's a little more user-friendly than some clocks. You don't have to worry about pendulums and things like that, but you do have to wind it because this clock was designed as a bedside clock, and so it was designed for you to wind it every night. It's called a 24-hour movement, so it may actually last longer than 24 hours, but it's designed and intended for you to wind it every night before you go to bed, about every 24 hours. To do that, you'd use this knob here. Now, the neat thing about this clock is that it tells you, and it's hard to see in the video, but right there it says time, and it tells you the direction. There's an arrow that's kind of covered up. There's an arrow that tells you the direction to wind it. So you wind it to the right until it stops winding. You'll feel it when it gets difficult. Now, because it's a bedside clock, it is also designed to wake you up in the morning. Not necessarily within a 5-minute accuracy, the alarm's only accurate to about 15 minutes either side of what you set it to. That's how those old alarms were with any clocks with timers and alarms. But in this particular one, there is a winding knob here, and again, it tells you that it's for the alarm, and it tells you the direction to wind it. If you wind it the wrong direction, the knob will actually come off, which is not a problem, but to wind it up, turn it that direction. Now, there's two other knobs on the back here. These are for setting the alarm time and the clock time. So, for example, the alarm right now is set to 12 o'clock. So this is the alarm indicator. Now, it doesn't indicate AM or PM, it's just going to be whichever one comes next. So right now, if I were to turn on the alarm, then it would go off at midnight. So if I want to change that, which I definitely do, I'm going to turn it in the direction the arrow indicates. So you can see here at the bottom, there is a little arrow. It's very hard to see in this video, but that little arrow tells you which way this hand should turn. And so I'm going to turn that hand this way. It's going to go counterclockwise. So let's say I want to set it for 6 o'clock. I set it right there at 6 o'clock, and now my alarm is set. Now, currently, it is set to silent, and this is also very difficult to read, but here it says silent, and here it says alarm. Be aware that when the alarm goes off, you might want it to be silent. So I'm going to go ahead and change the time. Now, this is how you set the time. And again, you always want the hands to go clockwise. With any time you set a clock time, always go clockwise, which is going to be backwards on the back side, so make sure you're looking at the front when you go to set it. So I'm going to move this around until 6 o'clock, and we'll see when the alarm goes off. A little late. There it is. All right, now I silenced it. So we're a little bit past 6 o'clock. So like I said, it's not super duper accurate, but it would get you pretty close. And in 1932, that was a lot better than the other options. Now, one catch is if the alarm's going off and I don't flip it to silent, it will keep ringing for about 45 minutes, or unless the spring runs out of tension and it unwinds itself. So be aware of that for the sake of all others sleeping in your house. Anyway, that is the basics of how to operate it. Now, if the clock is running too slow or too fast continually, so for example, after 24 hours you find that it's a little bit ahead or a little bit behind, and it's like that for a few days, and then you can adjust the speed of the clock. Right here, there's a little slot. In that slot is a little piece that you have to slide to the left or to the right, and it says F or S for fast or slow. So if it's going too slow, move it toward the fast side. If too fast, move it toward the slow side. And that's how you would adjust the speed of the clock. So I hope that is a interesting history lesson on this beautiful little ornamental clock. I hope it also gives you insight as to how to operate it so that it operates well for many years to come.